It's really common for people to think that they caused their dog's separation anxiety, but that's actually almost never the case, especially in people who are like actually worried about causing their dog separation anxiety. The two most common reasons that separation anxiety does develop in dogs number one is trauma, and number two is a genetic predisposition. And a lot of people come to me worried that because they work from home or that they don't leave their house very much, they caused their dog separation anxiety because they didn't expose their dog to the alone time. And yes, there is a possibility that if we never expose the dog to alone time and then suddenly expose them to a lot of alone time, that can feel traumatic for dogs, right? And so that can fall under the trauma category. But that's usually not what's going on. And even if it is, there's oftentimes a genetic predisposition factor as well, because most dogs are comfortable just being alone. The early days of the pandemic was actually a really good case study for this, because there were a lot of people who were worried that their dogs, their puppies, pandemic puppies, were going to develop separation anxiety because nobody was leaving their house. Everybody was staying home all the time. But when people started going back to work, many of those puppies ended up tolerating it just fine. And then there were other dogs, puppies, who once that started happening, they were very concerned about it and they started showing the classic signs of separation anxiety. And again, I will say those puppies, those dogs probably had an underlying genetic predisposition for those types of behaviors that we just didn't see because we weren't doing things to trigger them. And in fact, it was probably better for those dogs to not be exposed to the alone time so early on in their development, when their puppy brains would have been trying to convince them that it is something they need to be extra concerned about because they're a baby and they rely on somebody else to survive. Waiting for the dog's brain to turn into an adolescent brain instead of a puppy brain is really helpful for separation exposure type training.